call the meeting to order, please. I'm going to have you rise for a moment of silence or invocation by our mayor, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
On this evening, we ask for the guidance of the Most Wise Creator to be with us as we conduct the business of the Pottstown Borough. We are so thankful to be able to enjoy the summer season, and we ask that you would keep our residents, citizens, visitors, staff, and all interested parties and concerned parties safe through this season. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to go out of order a little bit here. We're going to go to item number 7, which is a presentation by the Human Relations Commission on essay awards. And, Mayor, if you want to introduce the participants.
Okay. I'd just like to acknowledge and ask to come forward Rita Pius. She's the chairwoman of the Human Relations Commission, and also who's seated with her is Della Hicks, who is the staff person. This is a contest that involved the topic unity. So we have some winners out there who have been involved with this process, and some of them are illustrative artists, some of them are essay award winners, but I'm also going to call up Miss Wagner of the Rupert School and have her introduce each student, and if they can please be given the mic to tell us their name, and if you can help guide them as to what aspect of unity they presented through their artwork. Comes out. I think it should be on.
Okay. Our first winner, Maya Hassan.
And what is her,
Maya's award is for the best artwork.
best artwork? So, do you mind taking it a little bit close to the camera so we can pick it up on TV? Can you get that? And I understand there were some monetary gifts attached.
There was. Maya, do you remember what you won? $5.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Okay. Giovanni Herring. And Giovanni's writing won best paragraph.
Do we get to hear the paragraph, or the paragraph is not here today?
No, they're not here.
They didn't bring today? Okay. All right.
And Luke Beal. And Luke's was best overall. He won the first prize.
So thank you for coming, and thank you for our young artists coming to present. And we're very impressed at our Pottstown students and their willingness to express the cause of unity, which is very important in our borough. Thank you, Ms. Wagner and students. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to give a thanks too. It's nice that we can sometimes see some of our other commissions that we have, that we appoint people to. I know Rita and I know Della and so forth, but some of our new counselors may not know that, and maybe in the future that's something we should do. Is just have the commissions come in. I know that no one likes to give up another night of their busy holiday or the busy time, but it would be nice to have council meet some of the commissioners and just explain what they do as far as in their role and their responsibilities. That way it doesn't take out of their time as far as going to their meetings and so forth. So thank you very much, ladies. Okay, going back to the subcommittee reports, infrastructure. Councilor Cole. anything, Counselor Miller or Counselor Proskauer, want to add to anything that's in the minutes?
They seem pretty complete. No.
I did ask a couple more questions following that. For sidewalks, there's a 5-year guarantee. And the most recent place they were done is Syracuse, New York in 2007 for sidewalk use.
Any questions by council? Now, this is being reviewed by staff?
Correct.
Yeah.
And basically, it was taken to the infrastructure committee for a recommendation, and then we wanted council to be aware of it before we move forward.
Okay. Is there any of this product in the building at all that we can see?
In the building?
sometime?
Absolutely.
We don't need it now, just so if council wants to go and look at it.
Actually, before the meeting's over, Erica will get the sample she has in her office and have it available for you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Public safety, did you guys meet last
We'll meet Monday at 6, or,
Okay.
yes.
Economic Development and Business Liaison, anything, Erica, you want to bring up?
The only thing, right now, at 258 High Street, the Vis Tompkins project is nearing completion by the end of July. I think they'll be done with the renovation project. We're helping them with the Downtown Business Incentive Program. So you'll hear more, but they are actively completing the renovation. So good to have that being done.
Good. One question from me is, what's the next step in the grant money that we received from DVPCR? Yeah.
Sure. I should stand up first. I did send out an email announcing DVRPC selected Pottstown for $1 million grant award for Walk and Bike Pottstown. We presented on that. It's the network where we're taking the Schuylkill River Trail, the existing bike lanes on High Street, creating this network with the school district as our partner in this effort. So we're really excited to get that going. We actually have a kickoff meeting next week with DVRPC staff and our consultants to talk about the next steps. Given that allocation and Pottstown Area Health and Wellness's grant as well, we are well positioned to be shovel ready basically on getting this project, all the plans and engineering and design underway. We are subject to the PennDOT design process, so with that we're going to work with DVRPC to get through that process because there's a few things that can be time consuming, and we're going to follow that process to the best of our ability to get it out to bid. So.
Okay, if you need me for any of those meetings, just let me know.
Okay, great, thanks.
And the other thing too is, to council's aware of, the bridge is in place.
True, the pedestrian bridge at Riverfront Park. Doug and his crew, and we really had a successful week. Was that the last week of June that we got that set? So it is currently set, and we're waiting on a few finishes. And we have about a week to hear about that, right?
No.
Yeah. So yeah, it's coming along.
How much brush is going to have to be cleared out coming down from Hanover Street?
Yeah, that's going to be a project too.
Are these steps?
Hopefully
Okay.
it'll just take some sweat.
We were hoping they were trying to get the branches off of them. We do not know.
So, yeah, a lot of multimodal advances, so we're happy to see that.
Transportation. Councilor Cole?
The minutes are there.
Any questions you want to, or anything you want to add to it, or anyone have any
We
questions?
discussed the runway, and I guess Deb Penrod was there, and she was a little concerned about the length of time it was going to take for them to get this runway done. And so I guess they look back on it, and they feel that maybe they can get it done sooner because of the airport day and what it's going to do to business up there. It's going to really kind of hurt the airport business for a little while till they have it done. So it's apparently not going to take as long as they think, maybe 30 days to have it done instead of 75. So, and that's going to start, I guess, in August.
Right.
Runway.
You're correct. The funding right now with PennDOT and the Bureau of Aviation, this is a pass-through through the Federal Aviation Administration. The borough has been selected under a tentative agreement for close to $2 million for this project. We do not have the grant award yet in place. That grant award may be a few weeks away, but once that's in place, then we can work with the awarded bidder, which we're very close to, Reading Site Contractors, in getting the shop drawings and all those other details in place. Now, you need to do a rehab of runway during the best season, which is right now, but it's also at the same time a season of for general aviation, so it's tough. But we have this window of opportunity to make a very big improvement to the airport, so we're just working to coordinate through the timing of that the best we can on the availability of the funding. But overall, it's going to be a 70-day contract period with a 30-day night closure, a 30-day closure for the airport, and then a 30-day closeout night closure. So it's looking at a 30-day impact on the full operation of the airport.
Keep in mind, though, at the end of the day, the runway, which has been limped along for how many years? I mean, I don't even know when the last time the runway was done.
In the 1960s, the runway was constructed. It had an overlay completed in the 80s.
So it's, up there on the top of the hill, and it takes abuse. So it's good that we're getting that done. Okay, the Ricketts Community Center.
Yes, just a few bulletins. The summer camp and the Black Top Basketball League, which was described in your reports, are in full swing for the summer. And also, looking a little bit ahead, the Family Health Nights will begin September 2nd on Tuesday and Thursdays. Time will be determined on that.
Any questions? I guess we're getting closer to for the contract with Olivet. You want to comment on, Chuck? Just nothing, no details, but just.
Yes, we have a final draft. We've sent it to Olivet and their attorney for review. We anticipate it will make the board agenda next month. As far as the borough is concerned, we feel it's a fair agreement, and obviously the details will follow, but it will allow the Olivets a chance for a longer-term relationship with the borough and then some investment in the borough property, so hopefully it can be a win-win for both the borough and the Olivets and the community.
Okay. Any other questions?
He's on.
Pottstown School Board, Mr. Williams.
Yeah, Erica stole a little bit of my thunder, but as extensive as hers was, wasn't going to be anything about the biking and walking trails. That was on the top of my list. I just scratched it off. Very good.
Shows you our goals are your goals.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Well, the beauty of our collaboration is exactly that. U.S. News and World Report, I just wanted to let you know, Pottstown High School was awarded a bronze medal by U.S. News and World Report. This significant recognition places Pottstown High School in the top 24% of high schools nationwide. Every year, U.S. News and World Reports ranks every school in the country. And we're looking pretty good. We need to talk about the pride that we have in our institutions, our facilities, and the folks that are leading us. And this really kind of underscores the progresses that we're making in this school district and this community. Just want to let you know that. Our administration feels confident that our facilities, renovations and reconstruction of the 3 elementary schools will be completed by schools beginning. We should be able to occupy all of our schools as fully renovated institutions. And we're looking forward to welcoming our students back at the beginning of the year to these really great looking facilities and a better environment for them to work in. And just one last thing, I think if you look at our webpage, or take the class of '69 is looking for a number of individuals. I think there's 12 individuals that they're missing. They're trying to get a group together for their reunion this year. And that is if anybody can go over and take a look, especially if you're familiar with the class of '69, take a look at our webpage, see the folks we're looking for, and if you know them, let us know where they're at, and we'll get the invitations out to them.
Okay, any questions? Thank you, Mr. Williams. Before we move on to the presentation, I want to have our borough manager give an update on our spray park.
Thank you, Mr. Troney. As some of you may be aware, our spray park was closed on Monday. We originally closed it for the purpose of superchlorinating it after a very busy weekend. In the midst of that, we learned that there were some reports of possibly, I believe it was called hand, foot, and mouth disease had been contracted, and it was believed that it might have been associated with our spray park. We contacted the county health department. The health department assured us that that virus is not communicated through, it's not waterborne, it's direct contact borne. We decided, regardless, we were going to keep the park closed until the county investigated. The county and the state both contacted us today, said to us, although it's not waterborne, to give the community some peace of mind, drain the pool, scrub it down, refill it, and recharge it. That was accomplished, and it reopened today. So we are back in line, good to go. And also, if I may, Mr. Tironi, ask Erica to comment on the parks competition and the UPC codes, or the QR codes.
Yeah, I did bring that up at the last meeting, I think during the regional planning report, but go into it a little more extensively.
Sure. There is a competition on your park, Get Set Go, and it's sponsored through the Health and Wellness Foundation, Potsdam Area Health and Wellness Foundation, as a throughout their jurisdiction, all the surrounding townships and municipalities within that service. There is a competition for the best park, the most popular park. So all you need to do is visit Memorial Park. I believe the sign is next to the ball field 2.
On the backstop.
Right. And if you could just take your smartphone and swing by and just use your QR code app and scan the QR code, it will take you to a website. And I believe you are also asked to do just confirm it and do this math problem, which is different, but maybe that's all part of, submitting it. But at any rate, it's a fun way of competing for your local park, and then the park that has the most votes goes into the Health and Wellness site, and then they will figure out who's going to win an award for, I believe, $10,000. Towards your park. So it's a pretty neat thing, and Memorial Park is a highlight. So I encourage everybody to take their smartphone and go for a walk or drive by and go for a bike ride and scan your phone.
Vote once every day.
Yeah, there's no limit to the votes. So
What if there is no smartphone? What if you're on a smartphone? What can people do
I
if they
believe you can
want
go to
to?
the website.
yeah,
You go to the
check
website.
out.
Yeah, but I think those are only singular votes, though. It's the smartphones for some reason. They get 10, and if you take a picture, you get another 10. And Chuck said on Saturdays, it's double point Saturdays, so.
Double point Saturday. You'll have to get that on Burris Facebook. All right.
I'm just
Thank
glad the
you.
test
Yeah.
isn't, do you have to do push-ups?
All right. Okay. That's what I thought it might ask. This math problem, yeah, let's see. Yeah.
Well, on your phone is a calculator, so you should have it.
That's right, that's right. So,
If you have a
all right.
smartphone.
Yeah. So, all right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay, now we have a presentation by Kimmel Borget on our Public Works facility.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Dillon from Kimmel Bograt Architects. With me is a civil engineer. His name is Glenn Harris from Renew Design Group. Excuse me. Just kind of here to give you a refresher presentation on the new Public Works building for the borough.
Andrew, that will go away in a minute, that notice.
I don't see it here, so. We were here in January, I believe, giving a presentation on it, and since that time, we've been, developing the project and working on it some more. So the planning phase, the master concept planning phase has been done, and then we've been authorized to document the project itself. Right now, we feel like we're about 95 maybe % complete. Last month, we were in presenting to the Planning Commission, who recommended us for approval, which is why we're here this evening. Hopefully, when we leave today, we have the approval for the land development.
That'll be Monday. We'll
Monday?
be doing that Monday,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you. So the project itself, just this kind of gives you an idea of how large the building is. It's about a little under 23,000 square feet total. A lot of indoor and outdoor space, and the site is off of High Street between Prince and Rice. Our initial conceptual site plan, down in the bottom right corner, that is the administration building itself. The kind of the L-shaped portion to the top of that, the yellow shaded, is the maintenance bays and enclosed vehicle storage, some equipment. And then as you get off to the right, there's more like open vehicle storage for like the larger pieces of equipment. And then all the way off to the left on the Rice Street is where, mainly salt storage, stone, cold patch, that type of thing. But this was our conceptual site plan. So things have changed a little bit. Some of the programmatic elements have moved around. But for the most part, the footprint has pretty much stayed the same. The only big differences on this plan compared to the last one, if you look off to the right, sorry, to the left, we have employee parking here. The salt storage shed in this area has gotten significantly larger. Originally located down in this corner, down here, was the police impound, but we've actually moved that up into this corner, given it a little more space. But everything else pretty much stays the same. We have the administration down in the bottom right, a lot of the high bay maintenance and storage in this area. These bays up in there, over in here, are enclosed parking for the larger trucks. Then there's some open parking here, and then storage in that area. We also have a retention basin, of rain garden, so we're going to try to capture most, if not all, of the rainwater off of the roofs of the buildings and bring them down to this retention basin, just to kind of ease it from getting back into the system. Glenn can probably speak to that more. And these are some of the images that we presented back in January, along with some of the existing photos. So this is the main entrance off of Prince Street. It's kind of the administration bay or the administration building is this portion, right in here. Just a view of the interior courtyard of the space, where all the garage doors and everything are facing. And this is around on Rice Street. This has actually changed a little bit based upon some of the tweaks that we did to the storage shed. But this is the, kind of that side of the building. And it's also the entrance where the bigger equipment will be coming in and out. And based upon the new site plan, this area right here to the left is where the employee parking will now be. And like I said, I think we're probably a good 90% or so complete with the documentation of the project. So I just kind of included some of the technical drawings that we have in our set. I think we're up to about 60 or so sheets, just like dimension floor plans, building elevations, one of our 10 or so sheets of wall sections. But I think kind of what it boils down to is kind of our cost estimate. Back in October, we created an estimate for this project in-house. And just, with construction costs, we had a range of between 2.5 and 3.6 million. But all in was about 2.9 to a little over 4. Just last month, a construction manager that we do work with, we hired them to do an independent cost estimate for us. And we finding out that even with adding some of like the square footage to the footprint of the building and just coordination between ourselves and the Public Works, that our revised estimate based upon our latest set of drawings is still falling within that range, with construction costs around 3.4 and the total project costs themselves, with all the added fees and whatnot, just over 3.8 million. And that's it.
Questions?
On the impound for the police, how many vehicles is that?
I believe we have room for about 3 or 4. And there's also, could possibly be used for larger trailers, I believe.
The speed trailers.
Yes.
And the retention basin, is that kind of accommodating some of the impact of the engineering comments for the waivers with the water? With the basin berm less than 50 feet from the structure and the storm pipe going from 18-inch to 15 requirement. Is that because you're going to be collecting that water and that's a reduction in the impacts of flooding potential? Or
the stormwater management basin is managing the runoff from all of the impervious areas on the site in accordance with the ordinance requirements, as well as Pennsylvania DEP has requirements that we fall under for a certain amount of stormwater to be handled because of their requirements as well. So the only space left on the ground, as you can see with the lot configuration, is that area where the stormwater management basin is situated, and it does handle all of that flow. The waiver requests are largely, for example, if there was room on the site to move the rain garden somewhere else, maybe we wouldn't need the waiver for the 50-foot requirement, but because the site is fully developed in other ways, we need that waiver to still accommodate the stormwater management. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
You mentioned salt capacities increased.
Yes.
Do you have I'm just curious, that a number of tonnage or?
We worked through this so much, I forget off the top of my head.
Doug, do you recall the final tonnage?
No.
But it's more. Okay, good.
We kept moving it, making it bigger because right now we're around 200 tons.
Okay.
And we certainly I wanted to get up to at least 600, but I think we moved up to 9 or maybe 1,000 tons now.
Oh, great. That was a big issue last winter, so that's great.
Absolutely.
That had a bearing on how big it went.
Absolutely.
I don't recall if this was mentioned last time you was here, but was there any thought to going for any kind of any LEED certifications or designations on the project?
I don't believe we are. I mean, going for the certification, we're not going for that.
Okay.
But it's kind of our philosophy that we design to that anyway.
Mm-hmm. Did you know how close you might be to even the smallest?
No, we haven't looked at it.
No. That'd be a nice stamp to have on that. Yeah.
There's a couple other things too we can apply for, which is with the Montgomery County Planning Commission, they always give awards to different buildings and so forth and projects. And I think over the years we've managed a couple winners, haven't we, Erica?
A few planning awards.
Yeah, like I think pedestrian underpass and
yeah, for community development.
Okay, if we could go back to the finance page. There. I'm understanding total projected cost now is $3,000,008. Is that firm? Is that within a range?
No, we feel like that's pretty firm. Initially, when we did this in October, that's why we had a range back in October.
Right.
But now, with the documents being as developed as they are, kind of took sharpened our pencils and
Solid number.
yes.
Okay. The town, we've been experiencing a lot of bad press because of cost overruns with renovating the schools and that. I don't want the borough to be in that same trap. And I spent 20 years writing contracts for heavy industry. Any way we can include a not-to-exceed clause?
I mean, I don't know if I can answer that right now. I can talk to, the partners and,
Okay.
get back to you
I
with
had
that.
$1 million CNC presses and machining equipment coming in, and corporate was on my neck. So, whether it was Baird Atomic for a spectrometer, or LeBlanc or somebody else, when they said it was going to be bolted to the floor and operating at X million dollars, I didn't have another nickel. I'd like some kind of firm commitment once we break ground.
Sure.
Are there any foreseeable projections that something might go wrong? Something could be worse than we expect?
Sorry, I'm not.
Are there any contingencies that might be worse once we break ground? Not expected, not anticipated?
There's no arches up there, Doug, is there?
No arches. No arches.
And the phase one environmental, I think they went all the way back to like 1929, and there was no
It was a
evidence of
pretty
any
clean
structure
property,
on the
yeah.
property. So there's no arches, and we should be okay.
No hazardous waste buried there?
Now, we had, well, there was some excavations to check, nothing turned up, so.
Dan, I don't know if Andrew can comment on it, but one of the reasons we selected Kimmel Bogaret was based upon their history in controlling costs at the bid price, and I don't know if you can comment on that or not, if that's your area of expertise.
It's not. I mean, I could comment on it, but I don't know.
It was a real low percentage that you were hitting the target.
Yes.
I mean, it was better than any of the others, so that was one of the reasons we did select your group.
So that high range of 4 million, that's out of play now?
Right, yeah,
Okay.
focus on just like the two green lines at the bottom.
And is any contingency built in? 5%, 10%?
Yeah, there it is.
Right
Up,
above the sub.
right above the subtotal, right? Right there, 10%.
10%.
Was that contingencies?
Yes.
Okay.
So if all goes well, we save 300,000.
Right.
Okay?
Any other questions?
Maybe we could just dovetail into the next item,
Yeah.
because really it was kind of a combination agenda item. Planning Commission did review the land development plan. Planning Commission's concern was not so much the layout, as you heard, but rather the focus on the site plan and the attempt to make sure that the impacts of the facility is limited compared to the neighborhood. So from the first time the Planning Commission saw the plan, the Planning Commission wanted to make sure that the lighting for the project wouldn't impact or bleed over to the neighbors. Also wanted to make sure there was sufficient landscaping to try and buffer the building and any effect of the use onto the neighborhood that abuts it. And there has been some increase in landscaping buffer to try and account for that. The mayor noted you should have a letter that our consulting engineer issued. It's relatively recent, as of July 3rd. While it's a long letter, basically indicates that the revised plan has satisfied the engineer's comments with respect to the requirements in our ordinance, and there were a number of waivers, 7 or 8, I believe, that were outlined in Jim's letter. And again, my understanding is, based upon my discussion with Jim, that all of the waivers are technical in nature. They don't impact at all the ability of the site to handle stormwater. They won't cause any health or safety issues, but based upon the construction and the layout of the site, the waivers were necessary, and our engineer does not have any issues with granting the waivers. Planning Commission did approve or recommend to council the waivers that are being outlined in the letter, and the Planning Commission did recommend approval subject to compliance with our engineer's comments, which essentially has been addressed. And Steve, Dan, whatever else you guys want to add, but that's pretty much was our discussions, I think, at the Planning Commission.
I feel we were thorough in reviewing this. We had some neighbors from the north who came in and mentioned, they wanted something aesthetic and pleasing to look at, and you did make some revisions to add additional foliage along there. Planning Commission is all in favor and recommends approval.
It was well received, so. Any other questions? Okay, that will be listed for Monday evening.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trent. In your packets, you should have gotten a graphic of the Pottstown Borough Hall digital sign. We provide that to you. As you'll recall, council approved part of the allocation of the waste management money for the purpose of signage at our gateways. Doug has been working diligently with Scepter Signs and Concept, and we present this to you to show you the fruits of the labor to date. I believe you might have the cost estimate also. Recognizing that it is under the bid requirement, we will be obtaining comparative prices to make sure that we are in the range that we should be before we would agree to it. But offer it to you for any comments you might have or recommendations, whether you're satisfied with the aesthetics of the project.
I'm pleased.
Just the information's incorrect on there. The leaf collection.
Yeah.
It's going to be flashing in white, not red?
No, the leaf collection, I believe it says on the
First Monday of April.
No, the color of your
You can adjust that.
your lighting board.
You can adjust
The colors.
Doug, we're going with single color display, correct?
Monochrome,
Right.
monochrome, single color.
Whether it would be
different
red
shades of that color, but
right.
it's basically like an orange-red type of color.
Okay. There you have it.
Where's this going to be located?
Right out in front of Borough Hall, and that's where the sign is currently, where we put the events up. This will enable us to not have to keep replacing the events manually. We can just go into the computer and make the changes.
Are there any other signs planned for the gateways?
Well, we wanted to get this one resolved, and of course, we're gonna get electric to it. We have the one from Mini Golf on order, so as soon as we get this one, and I was hoping to have the Mini Golf in by now, but we had other delays there, so just to see what other kind of logistics we gotta deal with.
The two signs up there, King and 100, those were replaced, weren't they?
They're basic, new boards and stuff. But once we get the Borough Hall one done and see what other kinds of problems, because power's gonna be an issue.
Right.
So we have to be able to plan for that. High Charlotte would be the next one. We have ones just like this one up there, and then we'll have to see where we got enough power and how do we get it to where the sign is now, seeing as how everything's cement and stuff, so.
The ones at King and 100, Mr. Taroni, recognizing how atrocious the ones look that were there,
Yeah.
licensing and inspections, staff took care of making sure that was resolved. I can also tell you the signs you've been waiting for that point to the downtown on Route 100 will be mounted very shortly.
Good. Guess our state rep took care of that?
No, the borough took care of that.
The borough took care of it?
Tired of waiting.
Okay, any other questions? Comments? Okay, we will, for Monday, list this as moving forward. Approval? Approval, okay. The sale of Falls of French Creek.
Mr. Garner.
Yes, you recall several months ago, we had a discussion at council, that council authorized the prospective sale of the painting that's been down in the Borough Hall lobby for some time. We have advertised the offer to purchase. The minimum bid is $4,000. The bids will be open tomorrow, so we'll see what types of bids we get. And I think the discussion at council previously was to share the proceeds of the sale with the Historical Society. So we'll let you know Monday what the bids are, and you can decide how you want to proceed.
Okay, any questions? Bid awards for concrete curb, sidewalk, and driveway.
It's actually the next three items. I'd ask Mr. Yerger to comment on the curb, sidewalk, and driveway, the street sweeping, and the sanitary sewer cleaning and televising.
Okay, the concrete work involves all of our borough properties. We surveyed all of our properties last year, came up with a master list of how much sidewalk needed to be replaced. That includes some driveways, includes some curb lines, and this bid will address that. There may be at some locations, depending, we haven't gone back since the winter, there may be some additional spots, but we have enough money in the budget, we can tweak the locations a little bit if things got a little worse over the winter. The low bid was Drumheller Construction for $138,200. And there's some locations too, the reason for the additional work, that price is to cut out concrete and remove it and then put dirt back. There's a lot of locations where we have street trees and the cement was right up against the tree wells, so we want to open those tree wells up. So it's just a matter of removing the concrete and then putting some dirt in place and possibly grass if appropriate. The street sweeping is to sweep the entire town.
Hold on. Any questions? Okay.
Street sweeping is to sweep the entire town. The base bid was one complete sweeping. There's 77 miles of roadway. The reason that's higher than our base borough count is because we included all the state roads that are in the borough, and we also included, there's areas where we have cement islands, like down Industrial Highway, up on West King Street at 100, you have an island there, so we want to be able to sweep both sides of that gutter line. So there's actually, in some places, there's actually 4 passes have to be made in different areas depending on how the raised curbs are for the island separators. So that's why the mileage is a little higher than you'd expect. But basically that's, and we're going to have to do a lot of posting, no parking. We're going to have to use several different medias to get the word out to people and try and get the cars out of the area. The process will be to sweep one side of the street, and then we'll move the signs to the other side of the street, and then come back the next day and sweep that side of the street. We have the town broken into 10 zones. Each zone is about 7 to 8 miles in just mileage. Lane miles, you double that, so.
Well, we'll do our best to get the street sweep as far as cleanup. I mean, hopefully the cars are moved, because it's only be as clean as the people who have been asking us to have the street sweep, follow the directions and move the vehicles and so forth. Any questions? There'll be a lot of grit. That'll be able to clean all that up, that grit?
Absolutely. We'll stage a dump truck, maybe 2, depending on the area. We'll have pre-staged dump trucks that the sweeper doesn't have to go too far. So the faster we can get him to dump and get back on the route again, the better we're going to be as far as covering as much of this as possible in the day. So yeah, and then we'll have designated locations where the sweeper can fill up with water, so that again, so you can get back on the route. And when we used to have our own sweeper, we used to lose a lot of time because we used to take the sweepings up to the water plant, and of course, till the sweeper got up, got unloaded, got back. I mean, we lost 45 minutes every trip. So we want to try and keep that machine moving as much as possible to get all this done.
I guess the material will be too contaminated that you couldn't use it anywhere,
Generally, we take it to landfill.
Yeah, because of weeds and
but that's
trash.
Important. That's important because then we have the weight slips, and that goes towards our MS4 program, which is, again, any grit and stuff we can get off the street doesn't go down into the storm inlets and into the stormwater system is another plus.
That's good. Any questions? Counselors, make sure you can try and get the word out, and I guess we ought to start doing that now, even on our website, and even running banners on PCTV if we have to. We will be cleaning the streets. As soon as we have the plan set up for when it's going to be done and when they're
As soon as all the paperwork, we're going to try and move this as quickly as possible.
I suspect the initial notice already went out over Twitter.
It's been years since we've, when was the last time the borough had an entire cleaning done?
I don't think as long as we ever had a sweeper that we ever got the whole town done in a given season, because we used to have a lot of the higher traffic routes were our routes, and then if the machine broke down, typically till we got it back up and running again, we'd start over again. So it was, I don't know that we ever really got the whole town done.
And it was never coordinated. I mean, there was never any notice that the street sweeper was gonna be coming, at least I never saw it.
Well, it was very limited. We had some signage up in the downtown area, mentioning that the sweeping times were, but that was very limited.
The other thing too, some of the areas, I don't know, some of these weeds, that are the size of a small tree, if it's gonna, the street sweeper's gonna chew that up, so the residents, may wanna help out a little bit.
To a degree, it'll still be there too.
Yeah, so that's important that we wanna have, we'll have a clean town for at least 3 or 4 days until, well, at least the grid will be gone, and that's it.
And the other thing that we're looking forward to, there's a lot of vehicles that never move. And there's an awful lot of debris in those gutter lines.
Glad you brought that up, because there are a lot.
There's a lot of them. And we're looking forward to try and get everything moved so we can get those gutters, because there's a lot of stuff sitting there.
I mean, there's, some of the vehicles that are walking around town, there's brush growing up through the vehicles, it's that bad.
So what is the plan if there's an obstruction there on sweeping day?
It won't be there when we're done.
Sounds good.
We're gonna have 500 signs like they use for, with the wires on, something that we can put up fast and move on. So we're gonna use those in the beginning of the block. If there's a, stop sign or something in the leading side of that block, we'll hang one high, and then the others will be with the little wires, put them in tree wells or wherever we can space them along that block. And then they're fairly easy to just pick up, and we can move them across the street and post the other side.
Some of the areas where we did the repaving of the streets and they were milled, I mean, that was a pretty good success. I mean, there certainly were no cars on those streets, and some of those are very heavily parked. I mean, we just use the same signage as that.
Right, we have a generic sign made up that we'll be able to use them year in and year out.
Well, let's hope for the best.
I think in advance of knowing the dates, if the police department could have like a 15-day leeway and identify the area or the zones and, just call it a clean sweep and say this is going to be going after these abandoned vehicles too, because I think there's a time after they're tagged that they have to wait until they can tow it. So if it's kind of like as comprehensive as the cleaning of the streets for sweeping, then, the paradigm of how people think about how important it is to be able to move your car would kind of resonate a little deeper.
We're working with the police. We met with the captain 2 times already, and we're trying to coordinate and make sure we got enough manpower to be able to deal with it.
Our towers are being notified and so forth?
Not yet. We don't have any firm schedule.
Okay, very good. Hopefully the public works with us.
How about the last one?
Yep, go ahead.
Sewer mains, we have a cleaning and TVing project, roughly, we got 77,000 linear feet of main to clean and TV. And basically what we're looking for now is any structural defects, any source of I&I, and we're moving on to the next section. Several years ago, we did from Beach Street all the way down to the main interceptor on Industrial Highway. Now we're going to go Beach Street north out to Mineral Street is the break between gravity flowing this way versus gravity flowing the other way. So basically it'll be that whole from Beach Street north out to Mineral Street and over to Hanover and then over to Kine. So that'll take out a big chunk of the system. So we're going to try and continue this in the next couple of years and see if we can't get the entire sanitary system cleaned and TV'd so we have a good record of what we have in terms of infrastructure.
There's no grouting done?
Not this time. We're looking right now, the next water and sewer project that we're working on right now will be let hopefully in August. That information was developed from the previous TV work that we had done. So it gives us a source of where the bad pipes are, where the bad joints are there bad I&I infiltration inflow situations. So it's developed because next year we'll go into design again. It's a 2-year process, design 1 year and execute the following year. And the way the authority has it set up right now, as long as we can sustain that, this is what we're looking to do, is to get that information ahead of time so we're ready for, the selection of where we're going to go with the next contract.
And the company that's doing it, they have a good track record?
We've checked out all 3 contractors, and Dave from my office has called the other people they've worked for, and everybody was satisfied with their work.
It's a big difference. And that's what's budgeted? That's within the budget, I should say.
That's within the budget.
Any other questions? Okay. At this time, I'm going to ask our Vice President to handle item number 13.
All right, that is it's coming up, the proposed tax agreement. I guess this is really just formalizing what has been done in the past without an agreement. So now we're just memorializing what's in there. You can pretty much see for yourself, it's spelled out. We have a service sharing agreement, I guess.
That's correct, Mr.
With the
Gear.
school district.
It's, we've had an agreement, or we have shared responsibilities for tax collection for years. As council knows, we moved the actual processing of taxes from the school district to the borough this year, and we are now handling the mailings and the collection here at Borough Hall. Both entities have an agreement with the appointed tax collector as far as how they compensate the tax collector. This agreement is between the school district and the borough for the purpose of defining and delineating each of our responsibilities and cost sharing going forward. This is the first that I think it's ever been documented in writing, correct?
Anyone have any questions?
The school district has approved it and signed it also.
Looks good.
I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, please note that Monday evening I will be abstaining from vote on this, and also, Madam Secretary, please make sure the signature plate is for our Vice President. Thank you. Zoning for 398 Circle of Progress. I will turn this over to our solicitor.
Thank you. We received a zoning application, which is we scheduled before the zoning hearing board for property at 398 Circle of Progress. At least a portion of that property, suites B3 and B4. Applicant appears to be the Tabernacle Harvest Ministries. The property, according to the application, is owned by Progress Associates. It is a one-story flex office building. At present use is flex office warehouse. It would appear that the request is a second use of the property, a Sunday morning worship, and a Wednesday corporate Bible study. According to the application, 35 to 40 people. Would appear that the regular ongoing business would still operate, but the worship or church service would have a limited use. It's not a permitted use in this district, and the zoning hearing board will hear testimony on that and decide. I'm not sure whose ward is that.
I think it's Carol's.
So I don't know if you've heard anything or have any thoughts about it, but
they haven't come in and spoke. Were they here? I
No.
don't think so.
no obligation they do either. I mean, it's a separate application to the zoning hearing board, and they're seeking zoning review. So.
I could be wrong about that. Isn't there the place where some up there where the people with drug issues go up there for? This is what I was under the understanding. I don't know anything.
That's on
For
Robinson
sure.
Street.
It's on Robinson.
Yeah, that might be on Robinson Street. I'm not sure that's in the Circle of Progress per se.
Okay.
It's in that area.
Captain Thomas just confirmed that. It is in the Circle of Progress? Okay, thank you.
I didn't know if they were going to have anything to do with that, because Harvest Ministries or anything like that, you know what I'm saying?
Again, we only get the information that's part of the application, so we really don't have anything else. That's the purpose of the zoning hearing for the zoning hearing board to hear
But
testimony.
they're only going to have services there Because there's another business in there, right?
That's the way it appears in the application. It talks about a Sunday morning, which presumably would not impact the business use, and then it says Wednesday corporate Bible study again. I assume that's Wednesday evening, but I can't say for sure.
So they would be leasing the space?
Supposedly, yes. They're not, certainly not owning it, not buying it.
So
And
it's
it's
still-
almost like a second use.
Still say on the tax rolls.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly no indication to come off. It's still an operating business as far as we know.
That'd be a question anyway, for them, you know, if they're gonna be involved with that, I don't know, but.
The only question I had
Concern.
asked when I had heard about this is where their location is right now, and I think it was Norristown.
Emmanuel Lutheran, they
Oh, is that where they just
share with
there?
Emmanuel Lutheran.
Okay. So you have three alternatives, one letter of support, letter of non-support, or just let it go through. So,
And when you say let it go through, you just mean let it go to the zoning hearing
Right.
board, and they'll make a decision as far as what they believe is appropriate.
and you, as a counselor on the board, certainly have every right to attend the meeting.
Well, that was Emmanuel Lutheran, on Hanover Street, right, or Emmanuel?
Correct. Like at 2 p.m., they're in there.
I didn't know if they, you know, if we could talk to anybody from there to see, I mean, just out of curiosity, basically.
How they're running.
Yeah.
I just know that much, that's it.
Yeah.
And they do have another one in Norristown.
Okay.
So,
So somebody, should I contact someone from Emmanuel and discuss and talk to him, or should we?
you know somebody from staff, if you want to call them, or do you have a contact there, Mayor, that you know of?
I do not.
Okay.
My neighbor's a member there, I can talk to her.
Okay. Well, either way, let our secretary know whether you want this listed for any action on Monday. If not, it will be just passed on to our zoning hearing board. Okay, number 15. This is an ad hoc committee that I'm going to form in light of some of the issues that we've been having with our some of the zoning and so forth of our ordinance. I'm going to appoint, and we had this, I think, 2 years ago we did this, where we looked at, we looked at our zoning ordinance and so forth. So at this point, and I did talk to these individuals other than Ryan, but our planning commission chairman, Mr. Wien, and also Councilor, has stated he would like to be on this committee. I did talk to Councilor Miller and Councilor Proxel. If you could be on this committee, I would appreciate that.
Sure.
Okay. And Borough Manager has informed me that he will have appoint our L&I director on that. And if you could, someone could contact the zoning hearing board to see if anyone would like to volunteer to be on that committee. And times can be set up and go from there. I imagine it'll take several months, to go through it before you have any recommendations before council, so. All right?
Okay.
Yes, of course, our solicitor has to be involved. Okay, auditing services.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. As council, I believe, is aware, our contract with Maley, our auditor, expires this year, and they have provided us with a quote to perform auditing services for the borough for the next 2 years. Staff has reviewed it, and it is our recommendation that we award the auditing services rights to Maley.
Any comments or questions?
Has there been any consideration for anyone else?
We did not go out on RFP, did we?
We did, I want to say,
4 years ago?
4 years ago, because this is the fourth year we used them. That was when we were with DNA.
We are very satisfied with the services they're providing. We would recommend staying with them.
The only thing I'm thinking, and I don't know if this is even valid or not, but it's just a thought that went through my head, was, if you use the same company over and over again, there might be some,
They recommend 6 years. Change, that's
Yeah,
what
some-
we did with ZNA, we changed.
some
it to
thought
6
of,
And that's usually standard procedure of what you're bringing up.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's done, but
So we've done 4 years so far.
the norm, and since, unless there had been some unhappiness, but they've been pretty thorough and so forth, and, I would recommend in 2 years from now, though, that we go once again out for RFPs.
For an RFP.
And even, it might even be recommended to change, just so you're right. Sometimes auditing firms have what they look for and so forth. Any other questions? Okay, that'll be listed. Sly Fox request for the use of borough property for September 20th or 27th and May 3rd of 2015. Do this.
Sure. On September 27th of this year, Sly Fox will be again holding their Can Jam event at their facility on the Circle of Progress. They have requested that the borough allow them to use the borough-owned property again for overflow parking under the same terms and conditions the council has approved the last 2 years. In addition, on Sunday, May the 3rd, 2015, Sly Fox will be bringing their annual Bachfest goat races to Pottstown at their facility again on the Circle of Progress, and the same request is being made to use that parking area or that land for overflow parking. There's also some discussion about police officers being involved in both events, but that's an issue to deal with through the police department. The request, again, is for usage under the same terms and conditions as before.
Any questions? Okay, that'll be listed. Harp, there's any 59 North Hanover Street, I guess the minutes are in there, and I guess the recommendation is for 59 North Hanover. And then administratively approved was 125 King and 248 Beach Street. Any comments or questions on any of those?
What was approved for 125 King, because it doesn't say?
Install a gate at the walkway between the neighboring house.
Install a gate, what kind of gate?
Doesn't say. That's what was approved, installation of the gate at the walkway between the neighboring house.
Do you know what's there now, Keith, as far as, is it metal or? We'll get that information for you.
I might have it, hang on. It appears that it is a wooden gate.
Wooden stockade gate, and it's just replacing one, the exact same one that was there before. Anyone care to see this on this side?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, that brings us to number 20, Councilor's General Discussion. I'll start over here with Mr. Proxel. Councilor Proxel.
Nothing specific, but if Deb were here, I'd like to thank her for taking up the airplane for our supplemental transportation committee meeting, I guess.
One thing that in having gone up in a balloon ride over Pottstown, it's amazing the amount of trees and foliage that is in our town that it looks like a forest, and it's quite unique. Councilor Cook, anything?
I got 3 things now, because I also would like to thank Deb for organizing that, because it was really something to see in Pottstown. From an aerial view, I just wanted to make an announcement about the September 20th Pet Fair, because animals are near and dear to my heart. Last year they had 58 vendors. Now they're approaching 70 vendor reservations already, which is great. They're waiting to hear from the Guinness Book of World Records to get the most dogs in one place wearing bandanas. And the world record currently is 200, and they believe they have a sponsor for the bandanas. So that's very exciting. September 20th, I hope you all come out. It's Bill and Karen do a lot of work on their personal time, a lot of effort that they put forth to this, and thanks to management too, because it takes a team to have a successful event. So everybody that's involved, it's a wonderful thing. I'm scheduling our July cleanup for Saturday, July 26th. Consensus is we want to start earlier because people are getting too hot at noon, so it's going to be 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., Saturday, July 26th. Bring gloves.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, I would just like to say the positive deja vu that I experienced up here talking about street sweeping. Void of the 4 years that I wasn't sitting here, felt like a 12-year discussion, but I'm very excited about the comprehensive street sweeping that's going to go on, as well as the opportunity to really tighten up the issue with abandoned vehicles and vehicles that are just all over the place. So that just seems like a great opportunity. Had an opportunity to meet with the 4th of July committee prior to the parade, and was very excited to hear about their reorganizations that they've gone through, some of the changes they've made, and I'd just like to thank the 4th of July committee and the public as well, and all of the people that participated. And it was a great parade, and it was a lot of fun, as it always is. I'd like to mention the Capstone Institute, which is an opportunity coming forward through my office, through the mayor's office, on faith-based initiatives. Although this is not an exclusive faith-based initiative, that is the conduit for the training. It is a workshop. 4 weeks, every Thursday in October. The venue is being decided. There is a small fee, and this is also something that can enhance the funding capacity, of nonprofits, and to give staff members as well as administrators, executive directors, or potential people that want to have a startup of a nonprofit to get some up-to-date training from experts in the field for a low cost. And this course also has the ability to get credit, college credit, at Cairn University, College of the Center for Urban Theological Studies in Lancaster, and other colleges in the area. I don't have an extended list. I'd just like to mention as well, as far as police calls and community policing regarding tenant discussions in housing. When the police are going to answer a call, the issues of repeat offenses at properties is the landlord receives the notice, not Section 8. So any legal implications or ramifications to Section 8 is not at this point something that we have our finger on. It's just with the landlord. So if there's some infraction with Section 8 with the landlord, that is not in our purview at the moment. So when these issues are being broached and when the calls are being tagged to the residents, it's not being tagged to Section 8 from our discussion point. And I just wanted to make that clarification, because sometimes, as you know, we get involved with different types of issues and we're just seeking closure for the residents. That's it. Not dissecting anything beyond the scope of engagement that we are supposed to be in. And the parks competition sounds very exciting for young people, and I'm going to be promoting that with some high school students tomorrow. What is the deadline for that? Is there a deadline?
There may be, I will find out.
Thank you.
It's the month of July.
Okay, well,
The month of July? Okay. They'll be out there. Thanks. That's
Every
it.
day, repeatedly.
Okay, Councilor Wheat.
I have no individual comment, but I'd like to take this time to ask Erica if she would comment to all of us on the progress we've made with the mini golf.
Sure.
I couldn't be there on the rainy day opener, but
Sure, no problem.
how are we doing?
We're doing well. we had our grand opening, and since then, we've had the summer camp kids out, and we've already been contacted from a few different groups about having birthday parties and a few fundraisers and outings, so everybody seems to enjoy the game. We're doing well with concessions, and we're just monitoring things as we go. You know, it's just about figuring out you know, how we are going to promote things from this point, and I think couple it with different other events. We had the Rumble, which was really great. We were trying to, you know, kind of cross-market and get the word out about that. So it is going well, and we're having a nice warm summer for it. So.
Can you get the car enthusiasts on the first Saturday to have a tournament or competition?
Sure, yeah. We'll be launching Minnetonka Green's own social media presence very soon.
Good.
So, just a plus, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, I just want to echo some of the mayor's comments on, and thank those that worked hard to put together the 4th of July parade, and you know, also thank the citizens that took time to come out and line the sidewalks. You know, few things say Americana more than a 4th of July parade and a good Little League baseball game, and we have a pretty good Little League program here in town also. And I would also, you know, really encourage as much as I can everyone that's involved to start planning today, if they haven't already, for next year's 4th of July commemoration. And you know, we were sitting around the house, and because we didn't have a fireworks display here, we were thinking, well, what can we do? And my wife suggested, you know, we've never done it. Why don't we go down to Philadelphia? So we went down to on the 4th to the fireworks display at the Art Museum. And I'll be honest with you, ours are way better when we have them. So, you know,
You don't have to fight as many crowds.
I mean, just the display itself, the ones that we have had in years past are way better. So I would encourage them, you know, the folks involved to do whatever we can, start hitting the businesses in town for donations and see if we can get that back. That is such a jewel for a small town like this. Draws people in from all over, and it's really a great opportunity to showcase the borough. And I'm saddened that we've lost that opportunity the last 2 years. So let's do what we can to get it back. And you know, also I would like to thank the folks that were involved in the Stop the Violence marches. You know, we talked about the crime problem that we've experienced, and you know, I know the borough manager mentioned at the joint meeting, you know, the kind of sense of apathy that can set in, and you know, you heard me talk about how, you know, it's really not an issue that we can solve from up here or from, you know, the driver's seat of a police car. It's a problem that has the solution has to start in the community, and I think this is exactly where it has to start. And I really commend the folks who took it upon themselves to go out and rally. I know Mr. Williams participated, and you know, that's the message that we have to send, that the regular law-abiding people in Pottstown who greatly outnumber the criminal element just aren't going to stand for it anymore. So, you know, I hope that I think we had 3 marches so far, you know, is not just a flash in the pan, and this is something that the community really takes interest in and continues to work towards. So to those that were involved, to those that organized it, to those that came out, thank you, and keep up the good work.
Councilor Kirkland.
We are in discussions for a Ward 6 and Ward 7 ward meeting latter part of this month. The details will be finalized by Monday, which we will announce everything on Monday. But for people in those wards, feel free to call the borough to get those final plans. But we will be announcing those final plans on Monday.
Once we have that information, Ms. Kirkland, we'll also put it up on the website.
Okay, in closing, just a reminder to council, there is an invitation for all of you for July 23rd to ride on the Secret Valley train. Any of you who are available to do that, I think it's, there's an RSVP, and it starts at 9 o'clock. So if you're able to do that, send your RSVP. The regular meeting on Monday, we will have stormwater management ordinance and public hearing, and also, I guess, a good.
Yes, and we'll also have a fee resolution because we will need to establish fees for the stormwater management ordinance plan submission, so all those will be listed.
Okay, we are adjourned. Public comment, I'm sorry, public comment.
Hey, no, you're not.
Mr. Troney,
I looked at it to see the paper, I didn't think there was any, I had already grabbed it.
during the public comment period, I just handed this sample of FlexiPave that's green in color. Obviously, when we go to replace sidewalks, they won't be green. They come in a multitude of colors, but that gives you an idea of the material. The first on the list is Marcia Levengood.
Good evening. I'm Marcia Levengood, and I'm representing the Executive Committee of Independence State Limited. Mayor Thomas, for council members, Independence State Limited is the organization that currently raises funds and organizes the festivities for the 4th of July in Pottstown. In 2015, the Borough of Pottstown will be celebrating its bicentennial. The borough will be 200 years old, 1815 to 2015. We are here this evening not knowing what the borough's intentions are in celebrating the bicentennial. And Independence State Limited is willing to take the lead in this celebration with the borough's support.
Any thoughts?
And so on behalf of Independence State Limited.
I mean, certainly, I think
Thanks,
this
Marcia.
is something we should be celebrating more.
Absolutely.
So, thank you for bringing that up. Also, there is, Bill reminds me every now and then, there is a
Yes, there is.
time capsule that
Yes, there
is to
is.
be opened
Yes,
at
there
the
is.
corner of Hanover and High Street.
Yep.
So,
There's actually two there.
yeah, the one I think is
There's one that
on,
needs to be opened in 2015.
right.
And then one that was 2076, because there was one done in bicentennial.
I won't be here for that.
We've,
owns the 2076.
Our committee has done some research on the time capsule. We've looked back. Gotta take a deep breath, because I've been working on this in the parade. We've looked back, and we have really done a lot of research as to how the town celebrated the 150th, and how people in the town were able to put items in the time capsule that were actually buried there. And one of the things that our committee would kind of like to do is we're looking at doing something very similar, and maybe reburying, when we pull that time capsule out, maybe reburying another one. We think it'd be something really cool.
Individuals that would like to become a part of this committee and so forth, they should contact you or the borough.
Well, like I said, I don't know, that's why we came forward here. We don't know what the borough's intentions are. We don't really want to step on any toes. And we also want, your support, obviously, the involvement.
What we will do, we'll have staff meet with you, and then we'll coordinate something, and then we'll go from there. But within the next month, I mean, seems like a long time off, but it's not.
Well,
It'll be
no,
here
it's
before
not,
we know it.
especially, like the counselor said earlier in his comments, especially whatever type of celebration you want to plan, with the parade co-chairs, and obviously we want to put the July parade next year, and they should really celebrate this. There's some things you really got to do now if you want to have the parade.
Okay, thank you for bringing that to us. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Next is Ron Williams.
Hey. let me ask you not to forget the school board in your invitation as well.
Oh, no, we're not. We actually we're starting with Borough Council first.
Okay. I forgot to mention earlier that the Stadium Lights funds, right now, I believe the funds are up at about $20,000. This was one of the major donations was given, kickstarted by the law firm of Wolf Baldwin, and really would like to extend an expression of gratitude to them, and hopefully they begin a process that merchants and other folks in this community can actually take a look at and see if they can help us reach the goal that we're reaching for.
Okay, thank you.
That's the extent of the comments.
All right. We are now adjourned. Thank you.